look like everybody else. And they taught the people here how to live. And one of the legends is this spider woman, this spider entity, liked the people and actually taught them how to weave their baskets simply by watching the web. Now, when they were able to teach them how to live, they went back down into the sand world and promised to return someday. So these lizard people, from what I'm studying, from what I've seen here, it's like the Phoenix Lights and all these little barbell-looking things that are flying around. This is just the tip of the iceberg on what's to come. If these lizard people is true, if we're supposed to take the petroglyphs and the legends and the myths literally, then these lizard people have yet to emerge out of the rocks. And from what I can tell up here and reading the glyphs up here, there's a lot of things that are still in these mountains here and that have not yet been shown. And it's interesting on why all of a sudden, you know, the Indians, they tell us that we're in the fourth world, we're getting ready to enter the fifth. And it's interesting, ever since, give or take 1995, at least here in the Valley of the Sun, we started seeing these Phoenix Lights here. And then the big one in 1997 when everybody saw it. But you know what? Actually, Kevin, it's a regular basis out here. If you look at my website, I'm filming these lights all the time. Seeing these creatures in the day. And it's interesting how come they haven't came down and made contact with us and said they're here yet. You know, one of the news interviews here, one of the guys from Channel 5, he asked me, he's like, well, you know, they haven't made contact with us. You know, we should pose them as a threat because we don't know what they're doing. You know, what are they doing up there? They're letting us see us, but yet they're not coming down and they're not talking to us, you know. Well, why is that? And I believe that it's because we do not need them yet. I think something big is about to happen, and when mankind needs help, then they're going to see possibly these Phoenix Lights. Now, the petroglyphs show these supernatural beings, they like to morph, they transform, they like to look like people, they like to look like animals, if you will. And I believe that when this, let's call it a Holocaust, happens, there won't be any food, there won't be any water, but yet they're going to see these little Phoenix, and one's going to come down and he's going to turn himself into a man, and he's going to say, I'm here to help you. And man will be forced into, let's say, worship this creature to survive because we need them. You see, we don't need them yet. But I think in the future, we will come back to these holy mountains for help and guidance, just like it was in the time of the beginning.
All right, now, out on the mountain, couple of things. The Phoenix Lights in 1997 was a spectacular display. But that exact same configuration of lights looks exactly like what people saw is in one of those ancient petroglyphs out on the mountain. You have a picture of it on your website.
That's correct. That's right.
Also, you're talking about these things morphing. There are petroglyphs out there that show stages of one of these lizard men materializing. You see a very faint sort of outline of one of the lizard men, and then you see next to it, you'll see another outline of the same lizard man. It's identical, but there's more to it. It's not as misty looking.
That's right.
And then next to it, one that's solid.
Right.
And so, and these appear next to those spirals.
That's correct.
So it appears that what the Hohokam were telling us is that they come out of these energy portals and materialize.
Right.
That's what it looks like to me. I admit I'm in the 21st century. I'm looking at these ancient petroglyphs with 21st century eyes. But that is how it appears. to me.
That's correct, and that's the story, and I have seen that many, many times. So I've seen them come and go from these rocks, and it's pretty spectacular. When they leave, Kevin, I really understand what the natives mean. I mean, I understand this now when they call them spirits, because they look like spirits when they leave, or when they come when they're about to go into the ground. They look like a ghost. Okay, you can see through them, you know. But as they ascend up into the sky, they become more solid. All right, they shift shape. They become more solid. Sometimes they change colors, and they don't quite move like, you know, something that we've seen before. So it's totally understanding on why the natives will call these spirits, and that interpretation of that rock that you were just describing there. That's exactly what is happening here.
And, for those who missed the show, when I had Thunderbeat on, she is a Native American shamaness, female shaman. I told her about your interpretation of these spirals being a marking of an energy portal, and she said that is exactly right. That is exactly what that is. However, she said if it ends with the end of the spiral going up, that means it is an exit from here to the sky, to the heavens. It's a portal into the heavens, which you had correctly stated. If it ends going down, it is a portal. You had told me it's a portal to enter into the earth. But here is something that was interesting. She said it can mean it is an arriving portal from the heavens. Okay, so it may not be just going into the ground, but it can be a portal coming from the heavens to that spot.
Right, exactly. It builds in that spot there. The energy creates the doorway. Here's something else that's interesting too, Kevin. Excuse me. In studying this and watching these creatures over the years, they pretty much pop up in the same spot. I mean, on a regular basis. I mean, you can pretty much predict them now on when they're going to show up, what season, what time. I mean, it's awesome. You just got to follow the sun. And here's something else that I've learned also. Now, on my website, petroglyphsinthesky.com, if you go to one of the links there that says, how can I see or where can I see a UFO in Phoenix, Arizona, you click on that, it shows a map, okay? It's an old map, 1930s map. It could be older, I can't remember. But it shows they documented all the canals, okay? They documented all the canals and also all the Indian mounds, all the Indian ruins throughout the valley. And in studying these creatures and the natives who dealt with them, it seemed like they wanted to get as close as possible as they could to these things. And this could explain, like, Montezuma's castle, all right? Now, we got this castle high up on a cliff, all right? It's in a hole in a rock. And then sometimes there's a crack. There's a huge crack on the side of that cliff with a big, massive spiral in it, all right? And that spiral represents a doorway for these creatures. Now, if this is the case, if what I'm saying is true, then we could predict on where the hot spots are around the valley through the Indian ruins scattered throughout the ground here. I believe that they lived, like, for instance, when the spirals ended up, that means there's a porthole, there's a doorway in the sky there. So they would build their ruins, they would build their houses right excuse me, under where these UFOs would be at. Now, how I came to that conclusion was in 2004. If you look on that map there, you'll notice off to the east side